He said Beulah Jackson was untouchable, a woman who built an empire from nothing, outlasted droughts, outlasted rivals, and kept her secrets buried so deep that nobody could touch her. But episode 8 of Dutton Ranch changed everything. Secrets got dragged into the light. A son called his father for the first time in years. A boy who lost everything walked out the door. And the woman at the center of it all? She just wanted one afternoon of peace. This is everything that happened in episode 8 of Dutton Ranch and what it all means for the finale. Stay with me, because there's a lot more going on beneath the surface than you think. Beulah survives, but everything shifts. Let's start where episode 7 left us. Beulah Jackson collapses at her own party. The 190th anniversary of 10 Dutton Ranch. Her ranch and her body gives out right at the moment her world starts caving in. The medevac lands. Rob Will goes with her. And for a brief moment, everyone holds their breath. Now, did Beulah die? No. She had a heart attack, underwent an angioplasty, and survived. But here's what's interesting. The moment she wakes up, she doesn't ask about the ranch. She doesn't ask about the business deal. The first thing she wants to do is broker peace between her sons. That tells you everything about where Beulah's head is at. She's exhausted. She's been holding this family together for decades through sheer will and secrecy. And right now, she's done fighting. But here's what you need to understand about her conversation in that hospital room. When Joaquin sits by her bed, still furious, still feeling betrayed, and rightfully so, Beulah doesn't tell him the real reason she chose Rob Will. And she can't say any of that out loud, so instead she does something brutal. She insults them both to their faces. She tells Rob Will he's a fine cowboy, but he's no Rip Wheeler. She tells Joaquin he's got a head for business, but he's no Beth Dutton. And she warns Rob Will that if he touches Rip or Beth, the ranch won't survive a year. She's not being cruel, she's being strategic. She's planting seeds, reminding both sons that they need Rip and Beth more than they need each other. But here's the question nobody's asking. Does Beulah have a longer plan for Rob Will? I think she does. I think she's letting him believe he's won so he doesn't do something reckless. And when the moment is right, she's going to pull the rug. Carter's meltdown and what it really means. Now let's talk about Carter, because this storyline hits different when you really dig into it. Carter is 19. He's an orphan. He watched his biological parents die. He recently witnessed a murder. He's in love with a girl who's now tied to the family that's tearing everything apart. And the one person he was starting to build something with, Dwight, was shot dead in front of him. The kid is carrying a lot. So when he drinks too much at the party and breaks a family heirloom in front of Beulah's guests, it's not just teenage stupidity. It's a slow-motion collapse from someone who has nowhere left to put all that pain. The next morning, Beth wakes him up, and Carter finally admits it. He quits school. He wants to be a cowboy. He wants to be like Rip and John Dutton. Here's where Beth shows you why she's one of the most interesting characters in this whole universe. She doesn't lecture him. She doesn't force him back to school. She just asks him to get ready for the hard parts. Because the world, she says, doesn't care what he's been through. Then she sends him to work with Rip at 10 Dutton, and it falls apart almost immediately. Carter's hungover, he forgets his gloves, he fails to bolt a door properly, a steer escapes, and when he tries to rope it, he gets pulled clean off his horse in front of everyone. Now, Rip wasn't angry about the mistake. Cowboys make rookie mistakes. The problem was Carter's reaction. He screamed at Azul, who was just trying to help him. He refused to apologize. He clenched his fists at Rip like he was about to throw a punch. And here's the psychology behind it. Carter spent time working for Dwight, a man who was never actually a rancher. Dwight was lonely. He treated Carter like a friend, not an employee. So Carter never got a true picture of what ranch work actually demands. When he walks into a real operation and realizes he's the weakest man on the field, he can't handle it. Because it's not just embarrassment. It's the shattering of the one identity he was holding on to. Back at the ranch, when Rip tries to talk to him, Carter says the words that cut deepest, "You'll never be my father," and then he leaves. Here's the thing, though. Carter has nowhere to go. He drives to Dwight's empty ranch, cracks open a beer, and calls the only other person he knows. Sheriff Wade. He asks for a job. Wade says no. Carter threatens him with Dwight's death. Wade tells him to go home. Carter's circling. He's not gone. He's just a kid who needs to hit the wall hard enough to understand that the people waiting for him at that ranch are the only real family he has left. He'll be back. The murder weapon and the missing body. Let's get into the real chess match of this episode. Joaquin has been sitting on Rob Will's murder weapon since episode 1. When Rip knocked the gun out of Rob Will's hand after the Wes Ayers shooting, he handed it to Chet. Chet gave it to Joaquin, and Joaquin has been holding it like a grenade with the pin half pulled. In episode 8, he finally uses it. He walks into Sheriff Wade's office and drops it on the desk. He tells Wade to arrest Rob Will for Wes Ayers. Murder. Wade's response? No body, no warrant. And that's where it gets complicated, because the body is gone. Rob Will and Chet buried Wes on Dutton Ranch property. Joaquin panicked and asked Rob Will to move it. But when they got there, it was already missing. Rip had found it, hidden it in the barn freezer, and later dumped it in an abandoned mine shaft. So Rip is now sitting on knowledge that could blow this entire case open, and he's been quietly avoiding Joaquin ever since. Think about what Rip is holding right now. He knows where the body is, he knows about the murder, he removed evidence, which means that if this ever surfaces, Rip doesn't just become a witness, he becomes an accessory. And Wade? He's a wild card. He was visibly empathetic toward Wes Ayers' wife and son. So when Joaquin hands him that gun, you can see something register in his eyes. Whether he acts on it or looks the other way, that's the question hanging over the finale. Austin blows it all open. This is the moment the whole season has been building toward. Austin, one of the cowboys at Dutton Ranch, has been watching, thinking, putting pieces together. He knew that Wes was digging into the tally books before he disappeared. He noticed that the Jacksons kept importing cattle even after the border closed due to screwworm. And when he confronted Miguel about it, Miguel pointed a gun at his face. That's all Austin needed to know. So he goes to Zach, who brings him to Beth and Rip's table, and he lays it all out. The 10-Petal Ranch has been running an illegal cattle smuggling operation out of Mexico for years. They steal cattle, forge all the health paperwork, pay off brokers, and bring diseased animals across the border. This is how the Jacksons survived the 2010 drought that destroyed every other ranch in South Texas. While honest ranchers were going broke and selling their land, the Jacksons were thriving because they were cheating. And Wes Ayers? He figured it out. He was about to blow the whistle. So Rob Will shot him. Now here's the part that hits Rip and Beth like a truck. Remember Bullet, the new bull they bought that brought foot and mouth disease to their herd and wiped out everything they'd built? That bull came from a broker named J.R. Simon. And Simon, it turns out, was a middleman in the Jacksons' smuggling ring. The cattle were never properly vetted, the paperwork was forged, and the disease spread from stolen, unchecked Mexican cattle straight into the Dutton Ranch's Black Angus herd. Beulah even stopped bidding on that same bull at the auction. She recognized Simon. She knew what that animal might be carrying, and she said nothing. That single detail tells you something dark about Beulah Jackson, because somewhere, deep down, part of her might have wanted Rip and Beth to fail, so she could swoop in from a position of power. Austin said it plainly. They ain't ranchers. They're thieves. And he's right. Mariano Reyes, the man behind the curtain. Here's where it all connects. The Mexico operation doesn't belong to Beulah alone. The man who built it, the man who runs it, is Mariano Reyes, Joaquin's biological father, and someone who has held a secret over Beulah's head for decades. He knows she killed a man in cold blood, and that knowledge is what locked her into this deal with him in the first place. Beulah didn't choose the criminal life freely. She was trapped into it, and now she's trying to use Rip and Beth to legitimize the ranch, to build something clean, something that doesn't depend on Mariano. But it's not that simple to walk away from a man who owns your darkest secret. At the very end of episode 8, Joaquin steps out of his car, screams in Spanish at the sky, and makes a call. Hola, papa. Necesito tu ayuda. Hello, Dad. I need your help. And the trailer for the finale? It shows masked men in tactical gear storming the Dutton Ranch. Beth reaching for a rifle. McKinney raising a weapon. Rip firing shots at figures breaking through the dark. So who are these men coming for? And why? There are a few possibilities. Maybe Mariano sends his men because Rip and Beth are about to expose the next cattle shipment, which is arriving in 2 days. Maybe Joaquin asked his father to take out Rob Will so that Mariano's own blood inherits the Jackson Empire. Or maybe Mariano comes out of the shadows to take full control. No more Beulah, no more negotiations, just a hostile takeover. Whatever the case, the finale is about to bring Mariano Reyes into the open for the first time. And when he arrives, nothing on 10 Petal Ranch or Dutton Ranch will ever be the same. Episode 8 of Dutton Ranch didn't just raise the stakes. It reframed the entire season. The Jacksons aren't a family in crisis. They're a criminal operation held together by fear, secrets, and a matriarch too exhausted to fight anymore. Rip and Beth didn't just take a business deal. They walked into the middle of someone else's war. And Carter? That kid is one conversation away from either finding himself or losing everything. The finale is going to be explosive. So drop your theories in the comments. Who do you think Mariano's men are coming for? And will Rip and Beth expose the shipment or burn the whole thing down? If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. The finale breakdown is coming the moment it drops.